The call to arms. Captain John Harris stood on the bridge of the UESF Valor, staring into the depths of space. It had been years since the Zargans had decimated Earth's first colony, and the pain of that loss still burned brightly in his heart. The Galactic Council had turned a blind eye to humanity's suffering, dismissing their pleas for justice. Now, Earth was ready to take matters into their own hands. "Captain, all systems are go. The fleet is ready," reported Lieutenant Sarah Connors, her voice steady, but laced with anticipation. John nodded, his gaze never leaving the stars. "Good. We can't afford any mistakes. The Council thinks they can bully us into submission, but they'll learn that humanity doesn't back down." The bridge buzzed with activity as the crew prepared for their mission. The Valor was at the forefront of Earth's newly formed battle fleet, a collection of warships built in secret, designed to withstand the might of any alien adversary. Their mission was clear: strike at the heart of the Zargan Empire and show the galaxy that Earth was not to be trifled with. As the final checks were completed, a message came through on the comms. "Captain Harris, this is Admiral Green. We've received intelligence that the Galactic Council is aware of our movements. They demand we stand down or face severe consequences." John's jaw tightened. He had anticipated this. "With all due respect, Admiral, we can't back down now. The Zargans need to be held accountable for their actions. If we let the Council intimidate us, we'll never gain the respect we deserve." Admiral Green sighed. "I understand, Captain. But know that if we proceed, we'll be defying the Council. The repercussions could be severe. We're already at war, Admiral. The Zargans declared it the moment they attacked us. The Council did nothing then, and they'll do nothing now. We have to stand our ground." There was a long pause before Admiral Green responded. "Very well, Captain. Proceed with your mission. The fate of Earth rests on your shoulders. Good luck." The view screen went blank, and John turned to his crew. "Prepare to jump to hyperspace. We're going in." The crew moved with practiced precision, their faces a mix of determination and apprehension. They knew the risks, but they also knew what was at stake. Earth's survival depended on their success. As the ship's engines hummed to life, John gripped the armrests of his chair. "Engage." The stars stretched into lines as the Valor and its escort ships leaped into hyperspace, hurtling towards the Zargan homeworld. Inside the ship, the crew braced themselves for the journey, the inertial dampeners struggling to compensate for the extreme velocities. John stared straight ahead, his mind focused on the mission. They were heading into enemy territory, and there was no turning back. The Zargans wouldn't take kindly to their intrusion, and the Galactic Council's threats loomed large. But he was prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. "Captain, we're approaching the target," reported Sarah. "Drop us out of hyperspace," John ordered. The Valor shuddered as it exited hyperspace, alarms blaring as the crew scrambled to their battle stations. The view screen lit up with a dizzying array of contacts: Zargan warships, defense platforms, and swarms of fighter craft, all converging on their position. "Evasive maneuvers," John barked, gripping his chair as the ship lurched to the side, narrowly avoiding a barrage of energy beams. The Zargan ships were sleek and angular, their hulls shimmering with advanced shielding technology. "Our weapons are ineffective against their shields," reported the tactical officer, his voice tight with tension. John nodded grimly. He had expected this. "Prepare to deploy the null cannons." The null cannons were Earth's secret weapon, a devastating device capable of tearing through any known shielding. They had never been tested in battle before, and now was their chance. "Null cannon ready, sir," the weapons officer reported. "Fire." The ship shuddered as the null cannons unleashed their destructive power. Beams of pure white light lanced out, cutting through the Zargan shields like a hot knife through butter. Enemy ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light, their hulls warping as the fundamental forces that held them together were disrupted. The Zargan fleet reeled in confusion and disarray as the Earth ships pressed their advantage. Fighters scattered, their pilots unable to comprehend the sheer power of Earth's new weapon. "Keep firing," John ordered. "We need to punch through their defenses and strike at their command center." The Earth fleet surged forward, the null cannons pulsing with deadly energy. The enemy ships fought back desperately, their weapons firing in frantic bursts. But they were no match for the destructive power of Earth's secret weapon. As the Valor and its escorts broke through the last line of defense, John felt a surge of adrenaline. They were close now, so close to striking a blow against the heart of the Zargan Empire. But he knew that the real battle was just beginning. The Zargans would not take this defeat lightly, and the Galactic Council would surely respond with fury. The road ahead would be long and bloody, but John was ready to face whatever challenges lay in store. Earth had suffered for too long, and it was time to take a stand. The ship pressed on into the unknown, carrying the fate of humanity on its shoulders. The battle begins. The Valor shook as it dropped out of hyperspace, the swirling vortex collapsing behind the ship. Alarms blared on the bridge as the crew scrambled to their battle stations. The view screen lit up with a dizzying array of contacts. Zargan warships, defense platforms, and swarms of fighter craft, all converging on their position. Evasive maneuvers, Captain John Harris barked, gripping the armrests of his chair as the ship lurched to the side, narrowly avoiding a barrage of energy beams. The Zargan ships were sleek and angular, their hulls shimmering with advanced shielding technology. "Our weapons are ineffective against their shields," reported the tactical officer, his voice tight with tension. John nodded grimly. He had expected this. "Prepare to deploy the null cannons." The null cannons were Earth's secret weapon, a devastating device capable of tearing through any known shielding. They had never been tested in battle before, and now was their chance. "Null cannon ready, sir," the weapons officer reported. "Fire." The ship shuddered as the null cannons unleashed their destructive power. Beams of pure white light lanced out, cutting through the Zargan shields like a hot knife through butter. Enemy ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light, their hulls warping as the fundamental forces that held them together were disrupted. The Zargan fleet reeled in confusion and disarray as the Earth ships pressed their advantage. Fighters scattered, their pilots unable to comprehend the sheer power of Earth's new weapon. "Keep firing," John ordered. "We need to punch through their defenses and strike at their command center." As the Valor and its escorts broke through the last line of defense, John felt a surge of adrenaline. They were close now, so close to striking a blow against the heart of the Zargan Empire. But he knew that the real battle was just beginning. The Zargans would not take this defeat lightly, and the Galactic Council would surely respond with fury. The road ahead would be long and bloody, but John was ready to face whatever challenges lay in store. Earth had suffered for too long, and it was time to take a stand. The ship pressed on into the unknown, carrying the fate of humanity on its shoulders. The Earth fleet surged forward, the null cannons pulsing with deadly energy. The enemy ships fought back desperately, their weapons firing in frantic bursts. But they were no match for the destructive power of Earth's secret weapon, the unexpected ally. As the Valor and its escorts pressed deeper into Zargan territory, the battle raged on. The Earth fleet's null cannons continued to tear through the enemy defenses, but the Zargans were relentless. Their advanced technology and sheer numbers threatened to overwhelm the human ships. "Captain, we're detecting a massive energy signature ahead," reported Lieutenant Sarah Connors. John's brow furrowed. On screen, the view screen flickered to life, revealing a massive armada of ships, far larger and more powerful than anything they had encountered so far. At the center of the fleet was a colossal vessel, bristling with weapons and shields. "That's the Zargan flagship," John said, his voice low. "If we can take it out, we might have a chance." "Captain, we're being hailed by the flagship," reported the comms officer. "Put it through." The view screen flickered again, and the face of Admiral Tsaruk, the Zargan fleet commander, appeared. His expression was one of cold fury. Captain Harris, you have gone too far. Surrender now, or face total annihilation. John's jaw tightened. We're not surrendering, Admiral. We're here to make the Zargans pay for what they've done to us. Sarek's eyes narrowed. So be it. The view screen went blank, and the Zargan fleet began to advance. All ships, prepare for combat, John ordered. The Earth fleet surged forward, engaging the Zargan ships in a desperate battle. Explosions lit up the void as ships on both sides were destroyed. The Valor's Knoll cannons continued to fire, but the Zargan flagship's shields held firm. We're not making a dent in their shields, reported the tactical officer. John clenched his fists. We need to find a way to break through. Suddenly, an alert sounded on the bridge. Captain, we're detecting another fleet approaching, said Sarah. Are they Zargan reinforcements? John asked, dread creeping into his voice. No, sir. It's the Galactic Council's fleet. John's heart sank. The Council had finally decided to intervene, but not in the way he had hoped. They were here to stop Earth's rebellion. Captain Harris, we're being hailed by the Council's flagship, reported the comms officer. Put it through. The view screen flickered once more, revealing the stern face of High Chancellor Eloria, the leader of the Galactic Council. Captain Harris, this is High Chancellor Eloria. Cease your attack immediately, or we will be forced to intervene. John's eyes blazed with defiance. With all due respect, Chancellor, we can't do that. The Zargans need to be held accountable for their crimes. Eloria's expression softened slightly. Captain, I understand your anger, but escalating this conflict will only lead to more suffering. There must be another way. Before John could respond, another alert sounded. Captain, we're detecting another energy signature. It's coming from the Zargan flagship. The view screen shifted to show the Zargan flagship, its shields flickering and weakening. A series of explosions rocked the massive vessel, and it began to list to one side. What just happened? John asked, bewildered. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Zargan flagship, reported the comms officer. On screen. The view screen flickered again, and the face of Admiral Sarek reappeared, but this time he looked haggard and defeated. Captain Harris, it seems we have a common enemy, Zarek said, his voice trained. The Galactic Council has betrayed us both. They have sabotaged our fleet, and now they seek to destroy us all. John's mind raced. The Council had always been a shadowy force, manipulating events from behind the scenes. If they had turned on the Zargans, it meant they saw both Earth and the Zargan Empire as threats to their control. Admiral Sarek, are you proposing an alliance? John asked cautiously. Zarek nodded. We have no choice. If we do not stand together, we will both be destroyed. John took a deep breath. The idea of allying with the Zargans, the very enemy they had come to destroy, was unthinkable. But the stakes were higher than ever. The fate of humanity, and possibly the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. Very well, Admiral, John said. We will join forces against the Council. But know this, once this is over, we will settle our differences. Sarek's eyes flashed with determination. Agreed. The view screen went blank, and John turned to his crew. All ships, prepare to engage the Council's fleet. We have new allies in this fight. The Valor and its escorts, now joined by the remnants of the Zargan fleet, turned to face the approaching Council ships. The battle that followed was fierce and brutal, but with their combined strength, the makeshift alliance managed to push back the Council's forces. As the last of the Council ships retreated, a tense silence fell over the battlefield. The humans and Zargans had fought side by side, but the fragile alliance could shatter at any moment. John knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but for now, they had achieved a hard-won victory. Earth's survival was no longer in immediate jeopardy, and they had struck a blow against the true enemy. As the Valor set a course back to Earth, John allowed himself a moment of hope. The galaxy was a vast and dangerous place, But humanity had proven that they were not to be underestimated. The fight was far from over, but they would face whatever came next with courage and determination. The aftermath. The Valor and its remaining escorts limped back to Earth, the scars of battle evident on their hulls. The Zargan fleet had suffered even greater losses, but for now they had put aside their differences to face a common threat. As the ships entered Earth's orbit, they were greeted with cheers and celebrations from the planet below. News of their victory against the Zargans and the Galactic Council had spread quickly, igniting a sense of hope and unity among humanity. Captain John Harris stood on the bridge, watching the blue and green sphere of Earth grow larger in the view screen. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of peace. They had fought valiantly and won a crucial battle, but he knew that the war was far from over. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the United Earth Government," reported Lieutenant Sarah Connors. "Put it through," John said, straightening his uniform. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the face of President Elena Martinez. Her expression was one of pride and gratitude. "Captain Harris, on behalf of the United Earth Government and all of humanity, I want to thank you and your crew for your bravery and sacrifice. You have shown the galaxy that Earth will not be intimidated or oppressed." John nodded. "Thank you, Madam President, but we must remain vigilant. The Galactic Council will not take this defeat lightly. They will be back." President Martinez's expression grew serious. "You're right, Captain. We must be prepared for whatever comes next. The Council's betrayal has shown us that we can trust no one but ourselves." John glanced at the crew around him, seeing the determination in their eyes. "We will be ready, Madam President. Whatever the future holds, we will face it together." The transmission ended, and John turned to his crew. "All right, everyone. We have a lot of work to do. Let's get this ship repaired and prepare for the next mission." As the crew moved to carry out his orders, John allowed himself a moment to reflect. They had faced incredible odds and emerged victorious, but the fight was far from over. The galaxy was a dangerous and unpredictable place, and they would need to be stronger than ever to survive. But for now, they had earned a moment of respite. Earth was safe, and humanity had proven its strength and resilience. As the Valor descended towards the planet's surface, John looked out at the stars. They had faced the darkness and emerged into the light, and he knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The battle was over, but the war for humanity's future had only just begun. The new threat. Weeks had passed since the battle with the Zargans and the Galactic Council. Earth had begun to rebuild, and the scars of war were slowly healing. But the peace was fragile, and John knew that new threats could emerge at any moment. The Valor had been repaired and upgraded, its systems enhanced with new technology and weapons. The crew had undergone rigorous training, preparing for the next mission. They knew that the Galactic Council would not remain silent for long. One evening, as John was reviewing tactical reports in his quarters, an urgent alert sounded. He hurried to the bridge, his mind racing with possibilities. "Captain, we're receiving a distress signal from one of our outposts in the Alpha Centauri system," reported Lieutenant Sarah Connors. "On screen," John ordered. The view screen flickered to life, showing a chaotic scene of explosions and debris. The outpost was under attack, its defenses overwhelmed by an unknown enemy. "This is Outpost Alpha, calling for immediate assistance. We are under attack by some kind of new ship. They're too powerful. We can't hold them off." The transmission ended abruptly, replaced by static. John's heart sank. A new enemy had emerged, one that was powerful enough to decimate their outpost with ease. "Set a course for Alpha Centauri. Maximum speed." The Valor's engines roared to life as the ship leaped into hyperspace. The crew moved with a sense of urgency, knowing that time was of the essence. As they approached the outpost, the view screen revealed a scene of devastation. The outpost was in ruins, its structures reduced to rubble, and hovering above the wreckage were sleek, black ships, unlike anything they had ever seen before. "Captain, we're detecting an energy signature from those ships. It's off the charts, reported the tactical officer. John's eyes narrowed. Prepare for combat. All weapons ready. The enemy ships turned to face the Valor, their dark hulls shimmering with an eerie energy. They fired, their weapons unleashing beams of pure destruction. Evasive maneuvers, John ordered, but the ship shuddered as the enemy fire struck. The shields flared, struggling to absorb the impact. "Captain, our shields are failing," shouted the tactical officer. John clenched his fists. "Return fire. Use the null cannons." The Valor's null cannons fired, beams of white light cutting through the void. But the enemy ship's shields absorbed the energy, barely flinching. "Captain, their shields are too strong. Our weapons are ineffective," reported Sarah, her voice tinged with fear. John's mind raced. They were outmatched, their technology inferior to this new threat. But he couldn't back down now. "Keep firing. We have to find a weakness." The battle raged on, the Valor and its crew fighting desperately against the overwhelming odds. The enemy ships were relentless, their weapons tearing through the human defenses with ease. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, a new signal appeared on the sensors. "Captain, we're detecting another fleet approaching," reported Sarah. John's heart leaped. Reinforcements. But from where? The view screen shifted to show a fleet of ships emerging from hyperspace. They were Zargan vessels, their distinctive design unmistakable. The war for humanity's future was only beginning, and John Harris was ready for the fight. The galaxy was a dangerous place, but as long as they stood together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The unknown enemy had revealed themselves, and now it was time to uncover their secrets and stop them once and for all. The search for answers. In the aftermath of the battle, Earth and its allies began the arduous task of rebuilding and fortifying their defenses. The wreckage of the unknown enemy ships was carefully studied, revealing hints but no definitive answers about their origin. Captain John Harris convened a meeting with key leaders, including President Elena Martinez, Admiral Xarak, and Dr. Elena Vasquez, to discuss their next steps. "Dr. Vasquez, have we made any progress in understanding the enemy's technology?" John asked. Dr. Vasquez nodded, though her expression was grim. "We've identified some of the energy patterns and materials, but there's still much we don't know. However, we did find something interesting, an encoded signal within the wreckage." John leaned forward. "An encoded signal. What does it say?" Dr. Vasquez hesitated. "We're not sure yet. It's incredibly complex, but we believe it might be a communication log or a navigational beacon. If we can decode it, it might lead us to their point of origin." President Martinez's eyes narrowed. "Do we have the resources to decode it?" Dr. Vasquez glanced at Admiral Xarak. "We might, with the Zargan's help. Their technology is different from ours, and their expertise could be invaluable." Admiral Xarak nodded. "We will assist in any way we can. This threat concerns us all." John felt a surge of hope. "Then let's get to work. We need to find out who these enemies are and what they're planning." As scientists and engineers from both Earth and the Zargan Empire worked together, progress was slow but steady. Weeks passed, filled with tense anticipation and constant vigilance. Finally, one day, Dr. Vasquez called for an emergency meeting. "We've decoded the signal," she announced, her voice trembling with excitement and fear. John, President Martinez, and Admiral Xarak gathered around as Dr. Vasquez displayed the decoded message. It was a series of coordinates, along with a brief transmission in an unknown language. "We've translated part of the message," Dr. Vasquez said. "It appears to be a distress call from the enemy ships. They were not the primary fleet. They were a scouting party sent by a larger force." John's heart pounded. A larger force. How much larger? Dr. Vasquez's face was pale. "If our estimates are correct, it's massive. They are gathering in a system far from here. But if they decide to move, we could be facing an armada." President Martinez took a deep breath. We need to strike first. We can't wait for them to come to us. Admiral Xerox nodded in agreement. We must take the fight to them and disrupt their plans before they can launch a full-scale invasion. John felt a mix of fear and determination. Then we need to prepare. Gather all available ships and resources. We set a course for the enemy's coordinates. The combined human and Zargan fleet mobilized, their preparations fueled by a sense of urgency and resolve. The journey to the enemy's stronghold was long and perilous, but they knew it was their best chance to stop the looming threat. As the fleet approached the coordinates, they found themselves on the edge of a vast, uncharted region of space. The enemy's presence was unmistakable. Hundreds of ships, far more advanced than anything they had encountered before. John addressed his crew and allies. This is it. Our chance to end this threat once and for all. We fight not just for our survival, but for the future of all free beings in the galaxy. The battle that followed was unlike anything they had faced. The enemy's ships were relentless, their tactics cunning and brutal. But the combined forces of Earth and the Zargan Empire fought with unparalleled determination. As the battle raged, John received an urgent transmission from Admiral Xerox. Captain Harris, we've identified their command ship. If we can take it down, we might be able to disable their fleet. John nodded. Understood. All ships, concentrate fire on the enemy command ship. The Valor and its allies focused their attacks, their weapons pounding the enemy command ship's shields. Slowly, cracks began to appear, and with a final devastating salvo, the command ship exploded. The enemy fleet faltered. Their coordination shattered. One by one, their ships were disabled or destroyed, and the survivors flowed into the void. As the last enemy ship disappeared from the sensors, a cheer erupted from the Allied fleet. They had achieved a decisive victory, but John knew the war was far from over. He turned to his crew, his voice filled with determination. We've won this battle, but we must remain vigilant. The enemy is still out there, and we need to uncover their secrets and ensure they can never threaten us again. As the fleet set a course back to Earth, John felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had faced the unknown and emerged victorious, but the quest for answers and the fight for their future continued. The galaxy was vast and filled with dangers, but as long as they stood together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead.